Hello and welcome to Zeta Chivalry 2 Survival Runs. Today's map is Falmire and I'm playing with a longsword, as requested by some of the viewers. In short, the weapon is great in duels, but not so much in one against many fights, because its main feature or its main buff is in quick stabs, where it delivers more damage than, for example, a greatsword or a messer. Otherwise, it does, in my view at least, lack a bit of oomph in ability to fighting more than one opponent at once. It's not bad, but it's just not great. Yeah, so for example, Messer, in my view, is better in those situations, and Greatsword is hands down better. But again, this is my experience, and mainly because I did not play with this weapon too much. So you might have a different view. Without further ado, let's comment the run itself. So this is the first stage of Falmire, and I'm just getting accustomed to this weapon. Again, I could not make a survival run and first go with this weapon, just mainly because, you know, reach is a bit different than with a greatsword. So it takes a bit of time to get accustomed to the specific range of this weapon. That's for me, at least. I usually play with greatswords, so it has a longer reach. So idea with the greatsword is similar to one-handed weapons. I mean, you have to do a lot of cuts, but if you're playing against vanguards or enemy archers, for example, then they usually have lower HP pool, so there is almost no difference between other weapons and the longsword. So it excels against the vanguards, for example. The other thing is, when I play with weapons that, you know, I specifically like to usually play with axes as a knight, and with a greatsword as vanguard, of course, not as a knight. So in that way, the gameplay with a knight with a longsword is a bit different, because you're not as fast, you cannot get around the enemy as quickly, so you'll have to swing a lot and you know, deliver quite a few hits to the enemy until he falls down. So yeah, it's a bit different style of gameplay. Not axe-like, it's something similar to one-handed weapons, actually, what I feel. Now a nice hit with a special attack, and delivers much more damage than I did with a longsword. Also, longsword special attack, I'm not sure, it's pretty hard for me to land a hit. It's just me, my lack of experience. By the way, if you are wondering what's the difference in damage between a greatsword and a longsword in terms of stabbing, so just you know, 10% or just 5 damage points. So longsword with a light stab does 55 damage, and a greatsword does 50. But that's with a light stab. With heavy stab, things are different. So a greatsword delivers 70, and the longsword delivers only 65. So yeah, light stabs is the way to go. They're also quite fast, quite hard to react to those, actually. So if you use that, you should stab a lot. So it's similar to spear, where you have always stab, but you know, here you have also very decent swings and overheads. So it's not that bad. Nice enemy did around the 360 defense by just holding right mouse button and just you know, turning around. So good for him. So we have 3 minutes left for the last cut to be destroyed. Again, I'm trying to decrease the population of enemy team. Again, we see those small things when I try to engage and then dash back and still get hit by the enemy, and I did not land the hit. So this is example of my lack of experience with this weapon, because with a greatsword I would have landed both of those hits that I engaged vanguards with, but not with a longsword. Again, this is not saying that the weapon is bad. This is saying that I'm not proficient with it, because anyone who plays with it more time is more accustomed to the ranges of this weapon. So again, my mistakes. Again, you know, I'm not very experienced with it. I understand the flow of the battle, but not like ranges of every weapon. So it's alright. You see, it still does not stop me from getting a lot of kills. Now, fighting against arch, for example, knights with axes is a bit difficult, because they just need 2 hits to kill me. One of them is heavy hit, and I need around 4 to 5 hits. Well, okay, maybe yeah, four hits at least to kill him. Unless it's a heavy stab. Yeah, heavy stab. 3 heavy stabs should kill him, yes. But other than that, so not very convenient. Because enemy has advantage. So dueling, again, you should use not, you should use your speed to your advantage. And actually that speed also comes with a bit of disadvantage as well. Because of the speed of this weapon, dragging is not really working too well for it. It works in high level dueling environment, but not in one against many, where people usually wait and hold the block for longer. So then a really slow weapon might do the trick, like, yeah, it can be a greatsword, it can be executioner's axe. Yeah, but not longsword. Dragging with longsword is a bit harder to do. I mean, but accelerating works well with it. So yeah, so if you do light stabs, again, if you want to deliver more damage, you should always drag your stabs as well, just as well as you do with overheads and, other things, but it's especially important. Weapon has a short reach and but relatively quick stab. So a window of dragging is a bit small, but if you want to deliver more damage, then that's what you have to do if you're fighting several opponents at once too. So we are on the second stage. The map is going well in our favor at the moment. There is a guy here, and with a trusty backstab, it's very good. It kills the enemy, but he was low, of course. I did not one-shot him. I think there's no class that can one-shot with any sort of hit. Even special attack delivers 80 damage, which is not enough to kill enemy archer, because enemy archer has 90 HP. So not even special attack. So this is what I don't like about the weapons, if they can't insta-kill enemy archers. Usually you don't have time for second hit, usually. Well, this weapon is fast, so probably 2 light hits is more preferable way than, 2 heavies. Or a heavy and something else, like a light. So 2 light hits is probably quicker, and should dispatch an archer. So yeah, overhead delivered 50 damage, if I'm correct. So 50 damage, again, it's nothing spectacular, but nothing to be frowned upon either. So a heavy overhead delivers 70 damage. So in the context, for example, of a greatsword, it does 70 damage as a light overhead and 90 damage as heavy overhead. So that's a substantial difference. But here, for example, feinting, it's quite hard to react with when quick weapon is being used with feints. So this is where it excels in duels and so on. But one against many, it's just a bit, a bit underpowered, in my view. So yeah, greatsword outshines in overheads in every category compared to this weapon. And as well the reach. So that's why I like it more. But again, I'm not saying it's a bad weapon. It's a great weapon for duels. Just not very much in one against many scenario. Also, if you want to insta-shot an archer. So greatsword has 2 abilities. So that's a heavy overhead. And also a charging attack, or just a special attack from standing position. So you can say it's 3, but I treat special attack as 1. So those 3 tools to get rid of enemy archer in 1 hit. This weapon does not have any of that. So it's a shame actually. Although again, I would argue that the special attack, when you take the weapon by the blade, with that's what happens with longsword. It's a Mordhau, a Murder Strike, I think in German. So it the character takes the weapon, the blade into his hands and just bashes the enemy with a, I'm not sure if pommel or quillon, whatever that other end I'm holding with a handle. That's what bashes the enemy. So ideally it should have delivered blunt damage, because or a piercing damage if that's quillons. But anyway, that's not implemented in this game. Again, you shouldn't ask for too much realism in this game anyway, because it's quite arcade-ish, not very realistic. But what can you do? It's fun. That's why we play it, because it's fun, not because it's very accurate. The only beef about this game is incredibly gimped, spear. For some reason, just really bad weapon here. But it is, you know, probably the best weapon there was in medieval. You're both in cost efficiency and also in ease of use. So this is not portrayed here. It's clunky as hell, and yeah. Again, this is for balance purposes. Otherwise everybody would be having a spear and just using other weapons as sidearm, as it was historically accurate. But anyway, so this is a small historical discourse. Let's continue on with the game. So this is the third stage, and we are more than halfway through in freeing the prisoners. This is not a too hard stage, as long as enemy does not have too many engineers that correctly puts the boards and also blocks enemy advancing towards freeing the peasants inside the cages. As you know, you saw that was not an issue for our team. I just want to have a look if there are any stragglers around and score easy kills. Like this, for example. The guy was just showing me his back and received a longsword thrown into it. Since he was already severely damaged, he died in one hit. So now we're on to the fourth stage. This is a bridge, probably the most challenging place in the whole map to survive. The main issue is the choke point on the bridge itself. So, you know, any archer or, for example, a skirmisher is having a field day by throwing his weapon or projectiles into this blob, you know, blue blob and so on. And so they might hit me, you know, if I'm unlucky. This unfortunately happens, so try to avoid being in the middle. That's what only thing I can tell. Also, there are traps here. I'm not sure if they do insta-kill or not, because they are placed by a human. But yeah, it's not very pleasant to have those two, because if you run, you know, your attack might be cancelled if you hit them and so on. So not very pleasant fighting place, but what can you do? So you see there's quite like a big blue blob. So any skirmisher would have a field day here, because shields are not very popular. So therefore, almost every your hit will land, especially archers. Every arrow should land on the enemy. And that's what thins out the hordes of, you know, folks from enemy team. So I've fought a bit here. I also picked up the friendly who was knocked. Not very keen on going into, you know, even more choke point. Right here we have like a really narrow place where there is an elevator on the right side, you know, holding those building materials for the bridge, and there is a cage on the left. The left is insta-kill, so this cage, you know, is insta-kill if you go for the right side, for the opening. You can die instantaneously. So you have to avoid that. So the choke point is even more narrow now than it was before. So instead of going there, I decided to have a stroll under the bridge and just go and see if I can score easy kills on, you know, past that choke point. Let's see what happens. So I go here, I see immediately archer. This is my priority target. Again, I cannot kill him instantaneously. 2 light hits, 2 light swings did not do the thing. Enemy received 40 damage and 40 damage, so in total 80 damage. And now I'm waiting for enemy to make a move, so I can know how to react. I have stamina, so this is better than having health, because now I can simply, you know, block well and be not afraid that my weapon will drop down. I do the ring around the roses, around the column, and enemy lost scent of me, so I'm able to heal at the moment. This is quite important to in survival runs, to know when to disengage and find a slot when you have to heal and stuff. So I know that enemy is chasing, but now I have an upper hand. So I was able to damage 1. And not sure what happened, probably an arrow. Oh no. There is a friendly who threw a mallet and killed, you know, delivered the last hit on the enemy vanguard. This one died because friendly archer just shot him when he was down. Again, received assists, not kills. But what can you do? things happen when you fight, you know, in many against many people. So team stealing kills is inevitable, and you can say it's teamwork. So yeah, we're halfway through the bridge. It's only 2 minutes left, but the second objective is not that easy to defend for defending team. Sometimes happen, but not very easy. So again, for some reason they put the boards, and the boards are blocking their own friendlies and from reaching the objective. So not very good engineers. Their boards are counterproductive. Yeah, so easy stabs, getting rid of the enemy. Again, very good stabs with this weapon. Also quick. But also, I also saw that that big blue blob in the center is attracting the attention of enemy ballista. So cannot be there. This is the one hit insta-kill item, and the enemy triggered it. So after death, it plunged into that, and for a brief moment, the cage closed. Also, the other thing I not particularly like about the knights is that they have throwing knives, but it seems like they do not deliver as much damage as the mallet, for example. I really like the mallets, but you know, I'm not very good at throwing anything else for some reason. I'm not sure if it's just me, but I feel that mallets are landing pretty consistently, whereas everything else does not. That's at least for me. So we're on to the next stage of the objective. Now we have to breach the gates. It's a bit tricky because enemy can spawn and sally out through the openings in the wall and catch you off guard, you know, and ruin your survival run. So you cannot go here alone. You have to absolutely wait for your friendlies. Also, there is a hanging item with some construction materials, with some bricks. So you have to be careful about that too. Always scan the area, memorize where they are, and try to not trigger them. Or trigger them when you're not under them. So you see a lot of exchanges, delivered a lot of hits on the enemy. Not yet a kill. Because again, there is an issue with just a bit low damage in general with this weapon. But if you go behind enemies, you know, everybody falls regardless of damage done by the weapon. So now we haven't managed to reach the gates on this side, but our friendly teammates were able to break down the other gates. So once one of the gates is down, we are proceeding to the next objective. Now this objective requires us to save the hero Torn. Again, that would mean us going close and personal, going next to enemy spawn and triggering those wrenches. And those wrenches take the gates, or the doors of the cell, and winch them up. So that's how open them up. That's how we free the hero from some sort of holding cell. And then the first one in the attacking team would have a chance to choose whether or not he wants to be the hero. So hero is extremely overpowered. I mean, Thorn is also extremely overpowered. The only thing he lacks compared to Argon is Argon's sword. Otherwise, it seems like health-wise, it has, both heroes have same amount of health. That's at least what I feel. The Duke in Dark Forest has less. So namely, since you do not also as a hero, your attacks are not cancelled if you're hit by the enemy, at least not with light hits and not with jabs. You can spam heavy attacks, just ensure that your swings go through the enemies, and then just have a fun time and score a lot of kills. But I'm not a hero because I was second on the scoreboard, which is fine again. I don't mind others playing as long as they know what they're doing. No, I can still score kills even with just a normal dude. So this is the last stage of the map. The hero has to make it to the ship, for those who haven't played this map. By the way, the earlier stages of this map were much harder for hero to reach the ship. Now it's very hard for hero not to reach the ship. This is just a bit also quite imbalanced. I feel like either the spawn takes too long time for masons to spawn, but you know, I think consistently it's like maybe 8 games out of 10 I would see that Agathans win on this stage, and that's just not good odds unless the hero just, you know, goes headlong and just simply, you know, knows what to do and fights okay. So you can just cleave through the enemies like, you know, a knife through butter. So this is, you know, I feel it's a bit imbalanced. Maybe, you know, a spawn time would need to be reduced for masons. But again, I'm not complaining, just saying what I, you know, my feelings about the balance of this map in particular. So yeah, there is 1 minute, I mean, there's 4 minutes left on the clock. But the hero is already going to the ship. So the map is ending. It was quite a good one. I scored 45 kills in total. Enjoyed the game, and I hope you did too. Thank you for watching. See you next time.